Sugar, when you hear the word entrepreneurship, what comes to mind? Is it the professional in a three-piece suit, the creative artisan covered in paint, or the innovative culinary genius? Truth is, entrepreneurship is not one size fits all. And you might be surprised at the many unique styles that entrepreneurship can take. Whether you work a 9 to 5, have a side hustle, are an entrepreneur, or you are thinking about embarking on the entrepreneurial journey, this episode has something for you. Because today on A Balanced Life, we are unpacking all things entrepreneurship, the good, the bad, and the ugly truth. Joining us for this conversation are two people who have taken a very unique approach to entrepreneurship. Charlotte Avery and Pastor JT Johnson. Come on in, you two. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Good to see you guys again. It's been a minute since the three of us have been able to sit here and just chat like family.
Yes, it's good to be seen.
Yes, it is. I think today's topic is probably going to be one of the reasons why it's been such a minute that we've all been together.
Sugar, you are in for a treat with these two and just the conversation that we are about to have on this topic of entrepreneurship. And now you guys know this. Now, for most people, entrepreneurship means one thing. You quit your 9 to 5 to work for yourself. It doesn't matter what the work is, be it content creator or cookie baker. Most people think that to be an entrepreneur, you have to quit your 9 to 5 and work for yourself full time. But truth is, entrepreneurship can take many shapes. I mean, just between the three of us, like we have so many different shapes and sizes of entrepreneurship that we even exhibit. So, Sugar, if you tuned in last week, you heard me say that I became a full-time entrepreneur after unexpectedly losing my good job. And after 2 years and 300 plus applications, God pushed me kicking and screaming into entrepreneurship because I didn't want to do this. Okay, this was not my plan. I did not think this would be my ministry, So to start the conversation, guys, let's unpack the many shapes and sizes of entrepreneurship and why we chose to live an entrepreneurial life. Now, anyone just jump in and share your entrepreneurship style and what attracted you to entrepreneurship?
So that's a really good question. So for me, one of the things that attracted me to entrepreneurship is the fact that I, at the time when I decided to start my company, I was a wife and I had 4 children. And I had one on the way. And I started to become, I was in a season of wanting to do something that was my own, that did not just encompass my husband and my children and me, being a wife and mom all the time. And so when I started writing books, I started my company because I wanted to be a self-published author. Not knowing that was going to, put me into motivational speaking and coaching and consulting and being a parent and family expert. I'm expert for media. And so it was a way for me to start something that was really my baby outside of my husband and my babies. Because I was kind of at a point in my life where I was dealing with the what about me's because I call those the whams, the what about me's. I was, taking care of everything and everybody. And I knew that God didn't just give me, an undergraduate degree and a master's degree for nothing. But the way that he did it, I mean, what I do for work and as an entrepreneur actually has nothing to do with what I even got my degree in. But I just reinvented myself, and that's how I became an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Because Charlotte is our mompreneur. Okay.
Yes, she is.
Mom, what is it? Wife of 1, mom of 7.
Yes.
And the fur baby now.
Yes. And now we have a fur baby named Blue. Yes.
Yeah. You're the ultimate mompreneur. Absolutely. JT, what about you, honey?
Yeah, I guess I will pick up right where Charlotte left off about reinventing yourself, right? My situation is kind of interesting as everybody know, I pastor the Word Church here in the city of Houston. But my branching off, so to speak, to become an entrepreneur really was birthed, just as Charlotte said, really in a space after I started to write books, and really was moving with the books and speaking and talking. And I saw a lane that I really didn't see a lot of, I would say, clergy embracing. And that was really looking at being able to be just as sharp on Monday as you are on Sunday. And looking at that marketplace ministry, so to speak, and really developing leaders as well as corporate leaders, secular leaders, as well as church leaders. Looking at how my transition happened, I started on home base, right? I birthed Increase Me, and the Me is momentum effectively. And it was really an opportunity to train church leaders. But then as I started to see church leaders leaving from my trainings and applying what they got from my trainings and getting promotions and elevations at work, I was like, hey, this is something that we really need to tap in. And so now, years later, I'm more in the corporate space than I am in the church space. But I continue to keep both open. Just this past week, being in a space at the top of the week, training pastors, and then the middle of the week being the keynote speaker at a violence and prevention conference here in the city. And it just continues to unfold. And so one of the things that I would say in entrepreneurship, just as you alluded to, Dr. T, there is no right and wrong way. And as we continue to talk today, there is an ongoing evolution of what this space looks like. And I'll stop right here with this statement. Steve Harvey said years ago, he said, you better make sure that if you are a seed, you're planted in soil and not in cement. He said, because if you're planted in cement, you have to stay what you've always been. But if you're planted in soil, you'll give God an opportunity to give new fruit to the tree. And so if nothing else comes out of this conversation, please watch where you planted.
That's so good.
JT just took us to church.
I know.
I'm back.
Right off the bat, right off the beginning, Sugar. I told you. I'm going to tell you, Sugar, go ahead and get your pen, your paper, your pad, because some jewels are really about to be dropped today. JT, I think it's very important what you just said, because we put ourselves, particularly our leaders and pastors and bishops and clergy, in these boxes and squares that if you are in the church, it has to look like this. If you are in the marketplace, it has to look like this. And so your unique perspective of being in the church and in the marketplace, I think is so powerful to display, because a lot of times we don't even give ourselves the time to even think about it in that way. It's just, we're just following what we've seen other people do, or even saying that it's wrong to do that, that they can't.
You know what? So for me, I think what I'm finding, especially as the generations, as we evolve generation to generation, I was literally just having this conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them that in ministry, because, my husband, is a pastor, and, we're both licensed in ministry. But one thing I was telling somebody is the way our generation is doing ministry today, we're not the generation that feels like we have to die in the church. We are not the generation that feels like we're going to die and not have a 401k, and we're not going to, be really we're not. So let me just speak to myself. I'm not losing my family for the sake of ministry. I'm not solely depending on the church to be, my bread and butter or anything like that. And so God has gifted, put other gifts and talents in me to, out in the marketplace, as a consultant, as a writer, as a motivational speaker, as somebody who goes to schools and does assemblies and, different things like that, and coaching women. And so there's nothing to say that everything that I do is not ministry in and of itself. It is. It's just I'm doing ministry in a non-traditional way outside the church walls. But our generation, we have seen the demise of families. We have seen, the demise of families and people wondering, well, you're losing your kids and your family and your marriage because it's church all day, every day. But I think because of what our eyes have seen and what our ears have heard in those circles, we have decided as, ministers of the gospel to do ministry differently in some ways, but also realizing that we have more to offer people, and real ministry is not just what you do inside the church walls, but what you do outside the church walls. And you have a right to get paid for that work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'll take it a step further to say, going back to what you mentioned, Dr. T, about us not having time. I think what has happened, to Charlotte's point, in this space, we have accepted the freedom to exercise within our gifts. There's so much more to the fivefold ministry than to just on Sunday have a great oratorical speech and then you leave and you go home. But there's so much more that goes with it. Matter of fact, the topic that I talked about with the Violence and Prevention Conference was looking at faith in action. And so I kind of gave it a subtopic to say from the sanctuary to the streets, and really looking at how we're able to bridge the gap and take what we do on Sunday into the communities on Monday through Saturday. And I always say that church service is 2 hours, or if you're Pentecostal, maybe 4 or 5. But serving, when the church is serving, that's from the benediction to the call to worship. But in that space, there are so many ways that we could be impactful to our community. And then again, it just opens up a door for entrepreneurship, because there's so much that we could do as a community for the community. And one thing that I will always say, and this kind of goes past just having the conversation of clergy or faith leaders being entrepreneurs, but whoever you may be that's watching the show, what gift do you have that's not being monetized? That's the question that you have to ask, because you could be watching this show on your lunch break, working for somebody else. But could you be taking a portion of that paycheck that you get, those 40 hours per week, and invest some money back into yourself and now figure out a way that you can monetize your gift? I always say that your gifts are in your hands, right? He has given us the ability to create wealth. Creation normally happens with a thought, then thought is followed up by action. And so many of us are sitting on our hands rather than using our hands. And so when you really just look at, do a self-assessment of yourself, you could be 6 months, a year and a half away from moving away from that cubicle and stepping into your God-given assignment.
I
Absolutely.
love that.
I mean, basically, Sugar, what we saying is you can be a mompreneur, you can be a pastoralpreneur, you can be a full-time entrepreneur, you can be a working entrepreneur, work that 9 to 5 and then come home and work your 5 to 9 for your business, whatever. A workpreneur, Entrepreneurship is not a one size fits all, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that you went to school for. Charlotte said she's doing something that she didn't even, go to school for. So giving yourself the permission to be flexible and really just take a look, like Pastor JT said, what is in your hands? We've been called to be the salt of the earth, not just the salt of our degrees or the salt of the 4 walls of the church. We've been called to be the salt of the earth. And so those gifts that we have, Sugar, is really the foundation for your entrepreneur journey that you maybe haven't even considered. Okay, now we have to take a break. I hate to do this, but we have to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will dive into all of the good things about entrepreneurship when we come back after this.
y'all. Welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Welcome back, Sugar. Now that we know that entrepreneurship comes in many shapes and sizes, let's dive into all of the good things that come with entrepreneurship. All right, let's bring everyone back in for this conversation. Now, we know that entrepreneurship has many benefits, and we often talk about the freedom and flexibility of entrepreneurship. But what I want us to share with the viewers are some of the unexpected good things that surprised you about entrepreneurship. So whoever wants to go first, tell us, what were some of the good, unexpected benefits that you found from being an entrepreneur?
So for me, one of the unexpected benefits that I found in, in being an entrepreneur was not just my flexibility. Well, it was my flexibility in my time, but it was also my ability to be able to really see myself soar in a different way. Especially in what I do. You know, my master's degree is in sports medicine. And for a long time, I thought that that's what I was going to do. I was going to be riding and dying, in sports medicine. Now, to see that I'm able to see my creativity, whether it's writing books or speaking or, preaching or whatever, but to really see myself, my own evolution. And it has really been something else, because I've been doing this for 16 years now, and everything has been from one season to the next season to the next season, but it's also been one elevation to the next elevation to the next elevation. And it's just really been something to see, to even watch my own self, my own metamorphosis, but also even to see the beauty of my own family and my children, not seeing me as just, yes, I'm always going to be their mom, but even for I just did an event this past weekend, and one of my daughters went with me. And, she just was like, Mom, you're really amazing. It amazes me to see all of the things that you do. And even that was unexpected, because what I do now, I never saw myself really doing. Yeah. But even to hear my children talk about me and to boast about the work that I do, it really tickles me sometimes. So I think that's something that's been very unexpected for me.
Yeah. Those are, and Charlotte, to hear that, it kind of made me reflect as well on, just being in a space of self-discovery along the way. Just as you said, you've been in it for 16 years. Really being in this space, I kind of feel like I've been here all my life, being a kid preacher, and then just kind of morphing into who I am today. But in saying that, being able to look back and see the growth that has happened, those things that pop up on our phones as notifications, especially social media. Facebook got this thing called memories, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes those things come and they make you real salty. And not like the salt of the earth that Dr. T was just talking about. But then sometimes it comes to remind you just what has happened over the journey, and how you've gotten to where you are today. And I think that that's one of the unexpected things, right? And if I can just be real, and, I don't want this to seem cliche-ish, and this is not, motivational speaker JT, but just being honest. When you look back at the journey, it is good to be able to see the resilience that it took for you to get here that you probably didn't even know you had. Like
Mhm.
on this journey,
Mm-hmm.
it's we look at good things as accolades. We look at good things as the featured articles. We look at good things as being on the stage. But man, when you really look at it, that good thing is I didn't crack. I didn't lose my mind.
Mm,
Yes.
I didn't grab nobody by the collar.
mm, I think
but
I'm
but
Yeah.
but but to be able to see where I am today, still in my right mind,
Yeah.
still having the opportunity to do what I feel like I have been called to do.
Yes.
And then to your point, Charlotte, I was that young preacher that gave everything to my church, and even to the point where one of the hardest lessons that came to me and hit me real fast was when my oldest was sick, and I remember him being asleep on the back pew in the church, and I'm just working. My wife and we doing ministry for the Lord, and the next day he woke up, and I was just like, man, we got to take him to the doctor. This ain't just a regular cold. Come to find out, he had pneumonia. One lung was full, and the other one was filling,
Mm.
and it really caused me to really say, Jamel, if something happens to your son in the name of ministry, will you be able to live with yourself? And
Mm-hmm.
so what has happened now is I am still being as impactful as I can be. I'm still being a blessing to the world. But what entrepreneurship has done, it has given me the ability to create boundaries. And
Yeah.
that is an
Oh, that's so good.
unexpected, that is an
Yeah.
unexpected gift that I didn't know that I needed.
Yes.
But again, um, entrepreneurship will humble the best of us, but it will build us into the giants that we were always created to be.
Yes, giant JT, absolutely.
And humbling.
Yes.
Before we jumped on, Charlotte and I were having a conversation. And I was telling her something that I'd seen somewhere about the difference when you say, I'm broke and you got a 9 to 5, as opposed to I'm broke and you're an entrepreneur. Those are two
Yes, Lord.
different brokes. Okay. The 9
Two
to 5
different roads.
is I'm broke right now and I'm waiting on Friday for my paycheck. The
Yeah,
entrepreneur broke is I'm broke and I don't know when the client, and I tell that, so I repeat that here because the unexpected benefit for me was the faith, my connection with God went
yeah,
through the roof, and I
yeah,
was raised in church, have known, had a relationship with God my entire life. Yes, I know Jesus Christ died for my sins, but it is different when you are out here on this entrepreneur journey and it ain't nobody but you and Jesus. When
yeah,
you
Literally.
all that you can do and the phone still ain't ringing, the
yeah,
clients still ain't coming, and you got to sit and say, okay, Lord, what are we doing? And then
yeah,
he give you some instructions like, oh, go invest in this computer system or this course or this, and you going,
yeah,
sir, I got $2 in this bank account, and how we
Yes.
gonna make it happen? And then it happened, and you see him come through. Sugar, that
yeah,
takes your faith
yeah,
from wherever it was all the way up to glory. Okay. And
yeah,
so
Yes, literally.
that was the unexpected benefit for me, was just seeing how God moved and how he has used not just the gifts he put on the inside of me, but to pull out the things that I didn't even know was on the inside of me for his glory. And all I
yeah,
had to do was just truly, how they say, put on the armor and stand.
yeah,
Learn
Yeah.
how to truly do that, how to truly be a woman of faith, how to truly be obedient to
Yeah.
God,
yeah,
how to truly hear his that
yeah.
still small voice. All of that went to a whole nother level through
Yeah,
entrepreneurship.
if you're an entrepreneur, I will say this, and I know that we've had church several times throughout the course of these shows, but if you don't have a relationship, and I'm not telling you who you got to have a relationship with, I am open to the freedom of religion. God bless you. But I'm telling you, if you are an entrepreneur, it better be somebody that you can close your eyes and talk to
Mm-hmm.
because there has to be some type of grounding that keeps you sane, because again, it is a journey, and unfortunately, we live in a day where our lives are like ESPN, right? Um, we only show the highlight reels, right? We only show the good side of it, right? We show us with the picture of the audience and we're presenting. But we don't show how many times we had to pitch for that space, or we had to send in abstracts to get an approval from a committee and we got passed over. We're not showing, after the book comes out and we have the book signing, we're not showing the grind that it took for us to get there. Even those who may not necessarily be in the lane that which we are in, but even if you're an entrepreneur and you've moved from selling online to now you have a food truck, or you have a brick and mortar, or you moved from just doing t-shirts to now you are a major brand, we show all of the end results, but we never really show that process. And I can tell you, people who have gotten to some sort of stability in their entrepreneurial journey, some sort of return on their investment through the journey, they have had some rough nights and they have had some tears in their eyes. They have had some people that were saying that they were going to invest in, so people that were supposed to be with them, who started off with them but left them when it got hard. And to be on the other side of all of that, you can't do that in your own strength. You have to have something that is anchoring you, that is able to push you on those days when life is trying to pull everything out of you and it leaves you gassed. You got to have somebody that will fill the tank back up. So I suggest, or matter of fact, I strongly encourage you to have some sort of relationship with the higher calling, to be able to call you higher, because other than that, this journey, again, will humble you.
Absolutely. It'll bring out trauma and triggers that you didn't even know was there.
Okay.
Sugar. Now JT kind of alluded to something in terms of the struggles of entrepreneurship and the unexpected battles that we have to fight. All right. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go into that a little bit deeper. So don't go anywhere. If you didn't get your pen and your pad, now is a great time to go ahead and grab it, because there's so much more to come after this.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and bring everyone back in for this conversation, because now it's time for us to get into the nitty-gritty and talk about the downside of entrepreneurship. Okay. Now, in this age of social media, where everyone is showing their wins and hiding their losses, we can get an overly glossy view of entrepreneurship. Okay. A lot of people think it's just like, oh, it's entrepreneurship. You can do whatever you want. And so Sugar, we finna take some of that shine off. Okay. And share the bad side, quote unquote, bad side of entrepreneurship. Now, tell us, what are some of the less than desirable aspects that you've experienced during your journey as an entrepreneur? And JT, you actually alluded to one where someone says, oh yeah, I'm invest, and then they don't ever show up, so what are some that you guys have experienced?
Yeah, for me, it's been interesting. Sometimes it makes you feel like people don't know what to say. So they just, say what they think you want to hear. And so you've had conversations with people where it's almost kind of like you go on an interview and you feel like you knocked the interview out of the park and you are about to land the job only to get that email to tell you they're going with another candidate. There have been times where conversations have happened, right? And it was almost as if you're a shoo-in and, we're going to get you here. We're going to do this. And it never comes through. Oftentimes people, because it's going to take people to help you do what you do. But sometimes I feel that a lot of entrepreneurs lose the drive to be successful, or they lose the drive to continue to do what they first believed that they could do, is because they expected the support from people that was closest to them. And those lessons come at you real fast and real quick. So I want to give you that up front. There are a lot of people that will support you that you don't even know. And there's a scripture in the Bible that tells us that if we give, it'll be given back to us. I think we hear that a lot. But it said that in of the B clause says that men shall give into your bosom. It didn't say men with your last name. It didn't say men that you went to school with. You just give. And I want you to think about this. Everything you do is a seed that you are planting. So if you don't release that gift, or you don't release that book, you don't release that product, the kingdom doesn't have an opportunity to return back to you good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, because you've hoarded it and you've kept it. But don't put a face on who you think the man is supposed to be, because you will be let down every time. The other thing that I was saying, I'll pass this on, or pass it on to Charlotte. I wouldn't necessarily say this is a bad thing, but it's something that you're going to have to accept and learn real quick as an entrepreneur, especially if you are looking to do entrepreneurship full time and you don't have another source of income coming in. It ain't 9 to 5. It is 25/8.
25.
Man, and you have to be ready for the grind. You have to be so sold out in who you are attempting to become that there's going to have to be some no's. There's going to have to be some no's to some girls' trips. There's going to have to be some no's to the cigar lounge. There's going to have to be some no's so you can eventually say yes to the life that you want to live. So those two things that I will say, some hard truths to this journey, that everybody that start with you won't end with you. But please make sure that you leave space open to develop new relationships along the way. And then the second thing is please don't go into this thinking that it's going to be a 9 to 5, or entrepreneurship is the easy way for you to sleep in late, that you can just casually show up, because if you're not being intentional about this journey, you're going to be putting in an application to somebody else's job real quick.
Charlotte, before you jump on that, because I feel you coming, Sugar. I feel it. Sugars, I really hope you heard everything that JT just said. When you sow, you don't know where you're going to reap from. It usually does not come from the same place you sowed. So if you're giving them something because you're expecting them to be the one to give it to, don't give it. Because it comes from various places. You may sow over here and reap over there. Just make sure that you're sowing and serving. How are you sowing and how are you serving? Before God blessed me with my business, I had to serve in another business. Okay. So sewing and serving. And they're working hard. Sugar, this ain't for the faint of heart. Don't come out here in this entrepreneurship if you think you just want to do it because you want to do whatever you want to do. That's a rebellious spirit. All right. Discipline. It takes OB. I work harder for myself than I ever did for the man. Okay. You have to be ready to put in the work. Yes, take breaks. Yes, make sure that you are doing what you need to do to stay healthy, happy, and whole. But you got to be ready to do the work. So if you're thinking about entrepreneurship just because you don't want nobody to tell you what to do, let me tell you something, Sugar. My business tell me what to do every day. Okay.
Every day.
It tells me
Every
what
day.
to do. Okay. So you can't don't think that this entrepreneurship because you see other people jet setting and it's all. No. Okay. Now, Charlotte, there you go.
Yeah.
Come on, Charlotte, add to it.
So I really want to speak to the women who are, whether you're a wife and a mom or whether you're not. One thing that entrepreneurship, well, there are a few things that entrepreneurship have really taught me. As you all know, that has been previously stated, I'm a wife and a mom of 7 children. And one thing that I learned about being an entrepreneur is, one, to manage my level of expectations, manage my level of expectation of people, and manage my level of expectation of myself. Because as Pastor JT was saying, the people who you think are your people really are not. Like you think, oh, my friends and family, they're like really happy that I'm starting this business and they're going to support me because they said that they're going to support me or whatever. Well, you may have written a book that does not resonate with them. And you're thinking, well, these are my people, they're my friends and my family, and they're going to buy my book because they want to see me win. And they're not, because your book does not resonate with them. But when you're managing your level of expectation, they might not be purchasing your book, but they might be your cheerleader. That's one thing. The other thing that I had to realize is, because I am a wife and a mom growing a business, I had to realize what blending looks like. So, of course, our show is called A Balanced Life, but, people who know me say that I don't balance my life, I blend it. And blending is about it's not about to-do lists, it's about my priorities. I have a business and I'm doing all of the things that I need to do to run that business. But before I had my business, I was a wife and I was a mom, and I can't just go rogue and go and work on my business and forget that I have this husband who needs my time and attention, and I have these children who need my time and attention. So for me, my life is about priorities. My life is about what entrepreneurship looks like to me is, it looks like a smoothie. It looks like, okay, today I'm working on the strawberries and I'm going to add in some blueberries. The priority is the orange juice or the water, and it's all going into the blender, but there may be more contents of one thing more than the other, which is the priority. So I can't just let my household fall apart because I'm working on this business. I still have to manage my business. I have to manage my husband. I have to manage my children. I have to manage my health. I have to manage who I am spiritually. I have all of those things to do, knowing that sometimes something might go lacking, but it doesn't mean that I'm not still taking care of the things that I need to take care of. Balance to me really doesn't exist, because balance means that you're giving the same amount of time to each and everything in your life. And that's not the reality that I live in. So, and I don't think that's really the reality that most people live in, even though we're always talking about balance. And so I think for the most part, when you're a woman and you're you're really pushing towards, starting your own business and doing your own things, you've got to look at your reality. You've got to look at your priority. You've got to really be able to come in and say, okay, God, help me and show me how to blend this together so that I can still work in the purpose and the places that you've called me to do and who you've called me to be.
Absolutely.
I love that, Charlotte. If I can just, the big thing that I heard that I would encourage every person that is looking to start the journey, or if you're on the journey, the thing that I will ask you to do, if you're looking to start, make sure that you do as the Bible said, woe to the man that does not count the cost, right? He'll start building the house and all he'll have is the foundation. And then you go back years later, you don't see window panes, you don't see doors. All you see is that same foundation, because he had a grand opening and then quickly had a grand closing. So the best thing that you can do is be a student in what you are attempting to do, and then make sure that you are planned out and organize your day. Organize your week, spend some time with you and making sure that you don't lose you in the process. That's one thing that I think that I caught that was so huge as you were talking, is that to be a mom of seven, a wife of one, and then now to have a fur baby. That's entrepreneurship all in itself. That's waking up in the morning and that's knowing that I have a responsibility. But then I also have a responsibility to myself. I have a responsibility to my business. I have a responsibility to my clients. And if there is no organization in life, that will drive you crazy. But being organized, you're able to show up for everybody else, not lose yourself, and still be who God has called you to be.
Oh, JT, that was so good. And I hate to do this, Sugar. I promise you, I hate to do this because I know it is so many good nuggets and gems that are priceless right now, but we have to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will be uncovering the ugly truth about entrepreneurship when we come back after this.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Okay, Sugar, we have been talking about entrepreneurship, the good, the bad, and now it's time to get into the ugly truth. Come on in, everyone. Now, when I say ugly truth, I'm talking about those aspects about entrepreneurship that most people don't want to hear, that we didn't want to hear, at the beginning, like those not so great moments that we were just talking about, those bad, and this is why I put them in quote, those not so great moments turn into extremely great lessons. All of them. We don't want to experience them, but it's like we have to go through them in order to get the lesson or the training or that wisdom that we need in order to sustain in this thing called entrepreneurship. So that's like an example of what I mean when I say the ugly truth. Okay. And that's just one. So I want you guys to just jump in and share with the viewers, what are some of the other ugly truths about entrepreneurship that are not often talked about?
So one of the ugly truths about entrepreneurship is that, if it doesn't work the first time, you have failed. And that is not necessarily true. You just have to rework it. And also, that one of the other ugly truths is that if you are a workpreneur and you're somebody who's working a 9 to 5, sometimes people think, well, in order for me to be a successful entrepreneur, I've got to quit my job. And you don't have to necessarily quit your job, because you need your 9 to 5 to probably support your entrepreneurial journey. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes, people will work with coaches who are like, well, if you're going to be successful, you just got to quit your job. I do not subscribe to that. Mm-hmm. I say, if your job is allowing you, is making you the income that you need to support and start your entrepreneurship journey, then do that. And then guess what? Then you'll get what is the word I'm looking for? The latitude to then say, okay, well, I'm going to decrease my hours here in my 9 to 5. So then I can give more time and venture out in my entrepreneurial journey. And so working a 9 to 5 doesn't mean that you cannot be a successful entrepreneur. And the other thing that I want to say is that, one of the other ugly truths that I have found is that, so first of all, let me just tell you the truth. Entrepreneurship is hard. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take a lot out of you. And sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to wake up with bags in my eyes. Entrepreneurship means that you're going to keep late hours. I tell you what, for me, because my life is set up the way that it is, I keep a lot of late hours. Some of my best ideas come in the dark, when my whole house is quiet. And so sometimes you have to keep late hours. Sometimes you have to work overtime. Sometimes you've got to really get down and dirty and do some of the things that you really didn't think that you were going to have to do to really see your dream come to pass. And there is nothing wrong with that. And guess what? There's also nothing wrong with saying, this is not working for me right now. And so I was doing this 9 to 5. I stepped out and I chose to do this entrepreneurship thing full time. But guess what? If something like the pandemic or something happens and it impacts your business, then it means that you might just have to go back to work. And going back to work, my friend, does not mean that you failed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was so much you said there, Charlotte, but I definitely want to make sure that the sugars heard when you said about working a 9 to 5 and still being an entrepreneur. As a full-time entrepreneur, the only reason I was really able to, again, let's be clear, God kicked me into this thing, kicking and screaming. I just want to make sure that we're clear about that. But because I'm married and my husband, has a good 9 to 5 with some good benefits, I was able to have the latitude to be able to really follow what God was telling me to do while still having the stability of just kind of the basic needs, the insurance and, some of those basic things. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the benefits of keeping your 9 to 5. So you got some health insurance, yes. You can make sure that the bills are paid while you are growing your baby, at the same time. So you're absolutely right. You have not failed because you have a 9 to 5 or that you had to go back to a 9 to 5. Having a 9 to 5 does not, eliminate you from calling yourself an entrepreneur. You're still an entrepreneur, even with a 9 to 5.
Yeah. One of the ugly truths about entrepreneurship that I really would like to expose is that the field is full of hustlers. There will be people that will show you or try to prove that they have the blueprint and they want to sell you their course. Mm-mm. And you're so excited to run out and get their course or go to their Mean Girls conference that you end up investing more in what you want to be a quick way of getting to the finish line than investing in yourself. I want to go back and double down on what Charlotte said. I want to make sure that this is overstood before we get off of this show. Entrepreneurship is hard. So that may be the ugly truth. Entrepreneurship is hard. But if you are intentional, if you are consistent, if you're resilient, but then this is another word that I want to throw out. If you are adaptable,
yes,
you will be successful. There was a guy that I was on a podcast with, and he gave a statement, and I think it was probably doper than anything I said on the podcast. But he said, "Adapt or die," and then he gave the example of Netflix. Right, when we look at Netflix and how it started, and we were getting DVDs mailed to us, and then having to mail the DVDs back, and then seeing the shift, and now Netflix is the largest streaming platform in the world. Well, they adapted. But then we look at Blockbuster, who still had those same DVDs, who still had those same VHS tapes. They have tried to reinvent themselves over and over and over again, but they haven't been successful because they felt like they were the creme de la creme. They were planted in cement. And then they tried to snatch that seed up and try to change. But you have to be adaptable from the beginning. And I will end with what Charlotte said. It's okay if this didn't work. I think that somebody probably needs to hear this, maybe proactively letting you know that it's okay if it doesn't work. You're not a failure. It failed. But learn the lesson, apply it next time, and come back with that experience, but not with those emotions. Or if it's somebody in it right now, and you're just trying to save face because you don't want to be embarrassed on social media, you don't want your family talking about you at the family reunion, man, forget them people, because you're going to fool around and have a nervous breakdown trying to hold on to something that is literally sucking the life out of you. I don't want you to hold on to that gallon of milk past its expiration date, and you're just holding on to it just so other people can see that you still got it. And then every time you open it, it is causing you frustration. It's making you sick. It's making you can't go to sleep. You have to know for you when it's time to say yes, or you have to know for you when it's time to say no. Because at the end of the day, if you stepped out into an entrepreneurial journey, that was a conversation between you and that man upstairs.
That's it.
And if that man is telling you, put a pause on it right now, let's go a different direction, let's stop it, or let's come back to it, the best thing for you to do is be obedient, because I'd rather you be obedient and keep yourself intact so that man can use you again than to be disobedient and you may fast forward your time here on earth. Because I've seen some people have heart attacks, have nervous breakdowns, trying to do something that it could be next season and not this season. This season could have been a season of preparation. Next season could be the season that it pops. But I don't want you to pop in the process.
Ooh, that don't pop in the process. Guys, I really, there's something that JT, that you said, bring me and JT back in, because I want to pick up on something that JT said. And you didn't say this, but you said this. When you was talking about Blockbuster and Netflix, and when you were saying, forget them people. Okay, I'm gonna connect these two. I don't know how many people know that Netflix originally approached Blockbuster and wanted Blockbuster to buy them out.
Yeah.
And Blockbuster, being haughty, said, "No, we're Blockbuster. We're not doing that."
They had their pinky out.
They did. They had their little sophisticated pinkies up. Exactly. And we know the rest of the story, where Netflix is now and where Blockbuster is now.
Yeah.
The thing I want you to take from that, Sugar, is that the ugly truth is we need strategic partnerships.
Yes, ma'am.
If Blockbuster would have strategically partnered with Netflix when they came to them seeking a strategic partnership, what could have happened? We all still would have had that blue Blockbuster card or some form of it. Yeah. But when you either refuse partnerships or when you hold on to the wrong partnerships. So as you said, JT, if you worried about what this person gonna think or what my family gonna think, or just because of time or just because of title, that may not be your partnership. That person may be connected to your history, not your destiny.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to make sure. The ugly truth is we none of us arrived here together.
Yeah.
We all have partnerships, but you have to make sure that they are strategic. You have to make sure that it is the person that is in alignment with you in this season and with the destiny of where you're going, that there is an iron sharpening that's happening. And this jumps back to something we said earlier. You have to be humble.
Yeah.
You have to know that you ain't got it all. I always say I'm the best life coach on this side of glory among a bunch of amazing coaches and amazing therapists. So you have to be able to pop your collar, but also know that you need other strategic partnerships around you, that we all pop in our collar. We are all walking in our calling. We are all going after, our purpose. And so making sure that you got those partnerships. Don't think you finna get out here and do it by yourself for yourself because I want to do. No, we all need strategic partnerships. And without them, you are either go the way of Blockbuster, or you could be Netflix.
Yes,
It's choose which one you're going to be. And I know that was a tough one. I know that was a tough word, but that's one of the things I think we miss out on because we get in our own way that we're talking about entrepreneurship as well. So Jesse, I got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had to do it all over again, would you still choose entrepreneurship?
Yes, Lord. And the reason I would do it is because I have been afforded opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten if I was just, in my field, business administration, marketing, trying to help somebody, build their website or give them a different eye to look at a marketing approach. And I probably could have been impactful helping somebody get their vision out. But I don't think that I would have been fulfilled.
Yes.
This is what is giving me fulfillment, to be able to look at how God is using me in so many different ways. And we had that thought process over the years, you got to have 7 streams of income. Well, what God has shown me is I need you to stand and be available, and I'm going to pull 7 streams out of you. And he can pull 7 streams out of you with the same product. Okay. He can pull 7 streams with one book.
Okay.
And so if you make yourself available, God can use you to change the world. And so I'm grateful to be on this journey. So if I came back and God asked me, do you want to go back and do it all over again? The only thing I'm going to ask him to do is day one, let me come into the world with all of the knowledge that I got. Because I'll be a cold joker at 2 years old.
Okay, King Solomon, give me that wisdom, Lord. Give me.
That's all I want, man.
That is it. Yeah. I would say the same. And this is coming from the person that wanted no parts of it, that did not want to be an entrepreneur. It was the last thing that I wanted to do. And I would say I would absolutely do it again for all of the reasons that you just said, plus the fact that I don't think I would have been able to become who I am today. There would be no Dr. Tierini if I didn't walk out that entrepreneur journey. And I'm not talking about the brand Dr. Tierini. I'm talking about the Dr. Tierini, the me that I am right now that's talking to you. Without entrepreneurship, she does not exist. So I would absolutely do it all over again. And I'm grateful that God drugged me kicking and screaming over here onto this entrepreneur journey. Okay.
I'm glad he did too. I'm glad after your temper tantrum.
I sure had them. I had several, quite a few of them if I'm just telling the whole truth. But yeah, and even as we're saying that, entrepreneurship is how I was able to strategically partner with you, with Dr. Jackie, Charlotte Avery. So I wouldn't trade any of it for the world at all. Absolutely. Okay. Well, listen, Sugar, today we have told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the ugly truth about entrepreneurship. I hope you took some good notes because our experts were dropping gems all over the place. All right, Sugar. Now we have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. I'll be back after this.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
Welcome back, Sugar. Today, we took a deep dive into entrepreneurship, and our guest taught us that when it comes to entrepreneurship, there are many styles you can choose from. Everything from full-time entrepreneur and a working entrepreneur, a pastoralpreneur, or a bombpreneur. There is no right or wrong way to approach entrepreneurship. But regardless of the style you choose, you must be ready to celebrate the good moments, turn the bad moments into your biggest lessons, and have the courage to embrace the ugly truth, understanding that all of it is a normal part of the entrepreneurial journey. Thanks for joining us today, Sugar. See you next time.